G'day folks, Chris McLean back again, and in the studio today I've got Joe from Pine Peak Media. They've evolved over the last few years and help a fairly broad mix of businesses these days, and right now they're heavily focused on providing help to photographers and filmmakers who are great at their craft but are struggling to turn those skills into a profit. Joe, thank you so much for swinging by, mate. Interested to get into all things photography, filmmaking, and all that good stuff. You're a photographer yourself, is that right?
Yes, I am. I've been for about 6 years or so, but I've dabbled ever since I was a little kid. My dad was a professional wedding photographer, so
Yeah, right.
I'm no stranger to the space.
Yeah, nice. I can tell by your camera setup here and your cameras behind you on the shelf there that you're well into all things lenses and cameras and photography.
Yeah, it's not great, but it works.
Yeah. So was that background the reason that you sort of shifted into helping those? Were you trying to do it for yourself? Were you trying to market your own photography services? How did the whole agency for photography kind of come about?
It very interesting. So I started my journey into business in general, kind of with photography, and I had no idea how the business side of things worked, like most people.
Yeah.
And then kind of trying to figure that out, it was extremely difficult, and it's still extremely difficult. When you go online and you're looking up how to start a photography business, how to start a filmmaking business, how to get into the industry, even it's mostly big YouTubers giving their advice, but the way that they conduct business heavily relies on the fact that they have a huge following, right? They're like, oh yeah, I messaged this company and they're huge and we now have a brand deal. Like, you can do it too. This is the exact wording I used. Okay, yeah, but you're leveraging the fact that you've got 1 million followers.
Mm-hmm.
So actual sound business advice for somebody starting out, and the nitty gritty of it. Um, you know, everybody will tell you something different. Oh, you need this kind of contract. Oh, you need X, Y, and Z. Like, even figuring out what pieces of software to use to deliver stuff to clients. How do I look professional? How important is that? How do I get people to find out about me? Should I run Facebook ads? I've had many agencies, come to me. Oh yeah, we can run Facebook ads for you. Well, in my experience and talking to literally hundreds, if not thousands, of other creatives, everybody that's tried it sometimes works, but it's not the most efficient way to go about it. So it was kind of that learning curve for myself, and then somewhere along the line, I stumbled into um, a group of people that taught me Facebook ads, and that kind of got me into the advertising industry. And I thought, okay, well, I'll keep doing my photography. I had a lot of word of mouth business, a lot of family photos, local weddings, everything like that. Pretty big parish in the church that I'm part of, so I got a lot of business that way. But it wasn't making enough money, and so I was like, well, maybe I'll start a Facebook advertising agency. So I was freelancing that for different random businesses for a few years, and I absolutely hated it. I don't know why I kept doing it. I loved the business, but I hated being a business manager. I like it more now, but there were certain tasks that I hated doing, and I eventually started networking, which it took me way too long. That's my number one regret, is I should have been networking from day one. That is the number one way I make money with photography now, is building relationships with, wedding planners, building relationships with local dressmakers, building relationships with anybody, the venue owners. And that's where I get a lot of my business.
Yeah.
But also through other relationships I've built, I now outsource within my own agency all the stuff I don't like to do. So now I can sit back and I can focus on exactly what it is I'm good at, exactly what it is I like to do. And now I'm able to deliver a better product, a better experience for my clients. And it's more effective too, because the people that I've hired to help me, they love what they do. And that's immediately what caught my attention about them, is finding those other people with the passion for what they do. And so I've got a very, very small team, and we all absolutely love what we do, and we do it all the time.
Yeah.
But it's great, right? So that's kind of why I've started, I do run ads for businesses and work on their business strategies and all that. But over the course of 2021, I've, started coaching and helping a lot of other filmmakers and photographers on all the questions that I had. And, just guiding them through anything and everything involved in, hey, who should you go out and build relationships with? Oh, you have a budget. Like, what should you be focusing on? Are there holes in your business? Are you going to get screwed over legally? Are you going to get screwed over at tax season? Do you have enough? What kind of business model should you even adopt? What kind of industry should you be focusing on? Do you even know? If not, that's fine. Like, okay, let's spend some time figuring out who you want to work with. And if you want to work with multiple industries, like, for example, you want to do some corporate stuff, you want to do family photos, you want to do weddings, like, you can do all of it. But they all have a different learning curve. And I've delved into a lot of them, but my experience is mostly in the wedding industry. And then I've built relationships with a lot of other filmmakers and photographers in these other industries and learned how to make money with them. You could be a filmmaker or photographer that makes all of their money just by being a social media influencer. Technically, I would, consider that a viable, revenue stream. There's so many ways to make money. So it's finding out what you like to do and then plugging in to those different revenue streams, so that way you can enjoy what you do. And then again, building out a team of people that are going to bring you business, and a team of people that are going to help you do the things you don't want to, so that at the end of the day, you're doing exactly what you want to do and you're getting paid for it.
Yeah. There's a really nice 5-minute summary of building the perfect business. If you had to boil how to run a fulfilling, sustainable business, a lot of the stuff that you just mentioned, that self-awareness of, I love to do, like, this is my zone of genius, this is what I'm great at and I like to do. How can I focus on doing that? And then understanding and then backfill the rest of the business, as you say, with partnerships, network, other people that also love what they do in that piece. That's how you build the capability to do that today is even greater than any time in history, because you can find amazing talent around the world that are just amazing at Facebook ads or Google ads, or whatever that thing is that you need to plug into the back of your business so you can focus on your thing. There's a massive opportunity there. So it's definitely the right approach, and a really sustainable approach to build a business that you love running. But do you think that, like you mentioned earlier, that you didn't like certain things being a business owner, but now you do? Is that got a lot to do with it, that you're now enjoying it because you're focused on the stuff that you actually want to do?
No, I think it's the fact that I'm very young, and I don't know. I've had to spend a lot of time figuring out what I actually like doing and what I'm actually good at. And that's something that has bothered me for a long time. It's like, how can I figure it out for myself? And then as I started to figure it out, I'm like, ooh, how can I teach this to other people? And I was like, wait a minute, there's no shortcut. And I think this is why most people fail and most people struggle, is because there's no shortcut to finding out what your genius is. There's not. You have to fail at 800 things to figure out, like, you have to have the full experience to know what you do and don't like. And I'm still learning. Next year I'm going to evolve further, and I'm probably going to continue evolving throughout my entire life. But I've kind of had to accept that I'm never going to figure it out. Right. So I'm always learning, always evolving, always tweaking, but I have a very good idea of what I'm good at now. And it's taken years of, 20-hour days, okay, maybe not quite, but a lot of thought and a lot of personal development to kind of reach the point that I'm at. And like I said, I'm still figuring it out. I'm always going to. And I think realizing that was a huge breakthrough for me.
Yeah. I mean, that is a massive point where basically all of us, particularly all entrepreneurs, agency, we're all still just trying to figure it out, right? We're always in that process of uncovering the next thing. And once you get one thing sorted, then all these other things show up. And you're like, oh shit, now I've got to work out that. So there's always, as you said, personal growth, personal development, business skills, all of this stuff is perpetually, there's always something new to do, something new to learn. And that's a major key. And that comes back to a point you made really early on about YouTube influencers and hacks and shortcuts. A lot of the market out there really want the hack and the shortcut. And here's the thing, here, just do this process. What they don't understand is a lot of the time that's a half truth, like you were saying, right? Because I can say, hey, here's the script. These are the exact scripts that I used to close this deal. But like I said, they don't know that I've got 10 million followers. And I'm leveraging that, or they don't understand that I've had 20 years of experience and I'm in a different mindset. I come from a different energy. I come from abundance rather than lack or desperation, right?
Mindset.
All of that stuff plays in. Yeah.
Personality and mindset. Like I've had the experience of two people and they love the same things. And it's like, they're so similar, but there's some mental block or just some little personality trait where it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
So there's never going to be a plug and play solution for everybody. It's just never going to happen.
Yeah, 100%. I like to say that there's everything, if you can understand principles, right? Like when I coach and try, I like to be very principles focused, right? Business principles, they do change over time, but there are foundational business practices, right? There's foundational agency practices and principles that are time tested, battle tested, that are always some form of truth, right? You need customers, you need a way to service them, you got to have a team. Like there's certain things that are always the same. If you can understand those principles and then kind of lay a personality and character trait and mindset and who you are on top of that, that's how you start to propel a business forward. They're having that value alignment of, this is what I like to do. I work this way. And as you said, going through that process, going through that self-discovery of trying 1,000 things to find out, okay, well, 999 things I sucked at and I failed at, but I found the one. Video marketing, I crush it at video marketing, but I've tried everything else and spent a lot of money. Unless you, as you're saying, unless you go through that process, it's very hard to copy somebody else's formula and get instant success with it, which unfortunately, like that is the market, right? People want the quick win, the silver bullet. A lot of the time that doesn't work out because there's so much else behind the scenes that person has put into that hack that kind of goes unspoken.
Right. Yeah. And there's, when I work with a photographer, filmmaker, I can kind of, by talking to them, I can kind of tease out what they like to do. But until they actually go and do it, like they're not even going to know. I can say, I think that this is what you're going to like to do. And they might agree. But that it's not necessarily going to work out, but it's going to get them on the path of, I tried that and I learned something. Now I'm going to move on and try the next thing and try the next thing. And we're failing forward, not to be cliche, but that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, no, it's cliche, but again, it's cliche because there's a truth in it, right? There's a fundamental truth in failing forward. That's why that idea has been around forever, because that is the correct. I mean, it's a truth, right? You try something, you fail at it, even if you fail at it, you learn something. You go, great. Actually, I don't like being on camera, so video marketing is going to suck for me. But you know what? In that process, when I was writing the scripts, I worked out that I really love writing, right? So maybe copywriting is the thing that I'm going to do. So you can find these things, but say, unless you're actively trying and doing and testing things out, you're never going to find that thing.
And I think this is something I'm currently working on, struggling with. I hate being on camera. I'm very uncomfortable right now.
You'd never know.
Well, thanks. But I think part of it is I'm talking to you. I'm forgetting about the camera. So I'm able to just have this conversation with you. And that makes it a lot easier. And it's something I've realized about myself. So I want to be doing more stuff like this. And while I don't like doing this necessarily, I love connecting with people. And this allows me to do that. So I'm still going to do things I don't like doing because it's necessary to get to that result. This is one thing I can't outsource. I can't outsource me talking, giving my knowledge. Like there's truth too to doing things that you don't like doing, but you know, it still feels good. So it's less about finding the things that you like doing too. And this is, like I said, something I'm currently figuring out, and doing the things that make you feel good too.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Again, another massive point that there is a trade-off. Like I said, you have to be these days. You have to be a brand. So you your face has to be on social media. You've got to be present. You've got to be visible for people to go, okay, I've seen Joe before. I've seen his stuff. I've seen his photos. I've seen him talking. Like I said, like this kind of stuff, this interview, showing up on other people's streams, showing up in other people's platforms, gives you instant credibility, right? Somebody wants to interview you, that gives you some semblance of authority and credibility just because somebody wants to have a chat with you. And there's some people will watch this episode and go, wow, Joe had some really great insights. And now I see him as credible and authoritative because he knows his stuff, right? And we were talking about Clubhouse earlier, and that was one of the really interesting things with that platform, is because it was voice only, it kind of cut through a lot of the bullshit, right? When you called up on stage and you've got to say something, all you've got is your expertise and your knowledge and your personality. If you don't have that in that moment, it's a pretty good bullshit filter. And this kind of stuff works the same, right? Like we can see you, I can see that it's you. I can ask you a question, you respond to it. The quality of that response gives people the essence of you, right? You can't really fake that. I mean, you can, but you get a better felt sense of who Joe is because you're being natural and you're responding and you're talking.
That's another thing. I love how this is completely unscripted, you know? So having that, and that's when I perform best too. Some people, they need to think about it. They need to prepare. When I do that, when I think about and prepare for something, I forget it because my mind's already dumped it out. Right. So then I've realized too, like when I'm capturing and collecting and coming up with stuff, it kind of has to be on the fly. And then I have to try and capture all that with a voice app like Otter or something like that. And then I can take it and try and recreate it. But it's better if I just hop on and roll. Yeah. And I think that's another personality thing too. With Clubhouse, like I might do really well, but if I know, if I'm going to go on Clubhouse and somebody's like, okay, I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to think about that question all day. And I'm going to answer that question over and over until all my good answers are gone. They're just, I've already got it gone. So yeah, it's just interesting to have that level of self-awareness too. It really does help. So
yeah. So, stepping into risk, stepping into consequence, out of your comfort zone, it does trigger a whole bunch of, there's neurochemistry and there's biological consequences to that stuff. Like, as you were saying, if you prepare, you can dump yourself out of that process. Whereas if you're sort of under fire, there's a bit of risk. There's certain, you get hits of dopamine, you get hits of neurochemistry that starts to, you essentially start to access flow states, peak states, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And neurochemistry, you automatically start to shut down certain parts of the brain, like rumination, self-identity, that sort of thing starts to disappear, and we can start to connect far-flung ideas. And that's where this sort of natural conversation comes out, and great answers and inspiration sort of comes to you and through you in that moment, because you're literally, because of there's a bit of social risk, a bit of personal risk and exposure, that's enough to sort of drop into that peak performance, that flow state. And actually that's this type of conversation. And that's really why I run the show like this. I don't send out, hey, here's the 5 questions I'm going to ask you. number one, it keeps it more like I had no idea that we were going to take this tangent on the show today. Right? It's sort of gone completely, right? Exactly. So it's sort of gone completely off tangent from talking about purely photography or agency, and for me, that's the exciting part about this show, because I never know exactly where it's going to go. And we get into much more of a personal insights and banter, and we get to learn more about you and who you are, more so than if I was just saying, hey, tell me about this, tell me about this, tell me about this.
And that's one thing too. So I've had so many people say, oh, you need to take your agency and you need to create a course for photographers and filmmakers and stuff like that. That's the only way to scale it. And I was like, I really don't want to create a course because I hate courses. I might potentially create a framework with the fundamentals and stuff like that, but having conversations like we're having right now, that's where I can really help the client with what they need help with. And so even group coaching is better if it's a small group, but being able to create these conversations and really drill down to that specific client's needs. Like maybe they don't have a problem with the framework of their business. Maybe they have some kind of mindset issue. Maybe their mindset's great. They just need, a little help on the technical stuff, and maybe they need a operations guy. And it's really teasing out in conversation like this what the other person needs, that's the best value for them, right? So I feel like selling somebody a course, it may or may not be of great value to them, whereas having a one-on-one conversation with them, that is of great value. Now, most photographers and filmmakers don't have the budget to afford a $3,000 a month or $1,000 a month program, so I don't charge that, and I turn people away because I know how much money I need to make. I put a portion of my time towards helping those people that I really want to help. And then I put the rest of the time into my running ads and stuff like that, which is where I make a ton of money. So that's something I know about myself. And that's why I operate the way I operate, because it allows me to do, again, back to the beginning, what I enjoy. And I feel like I'm best able to help people when I'm talking to them one-on-one, and I'm creating that connection and answering real problems.
Yeah. Beautiful way to wrap the show up, to sort of come full circle back to that thing. It's such a major piece. A lot of people we build out these agencies, we build these businesses, and they can kind of get away from us a bit, right? They can start to diverge from why we started them, or maybe we didn't really have a plan when we started, and we get a few years down the track and like, I don't enjoy this anymore. This is not fun.
That happened to me.
Drama and these clients. So enjoyment is, tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, so last year I was outsourcing or trying to outsource almost everything. And I went way the other direction, but I was like, okay, I'm managing a team of people that I don't like, working for companies that are just trying to push this random product. Like the companies that I'm working for, or individuals that I'm working for now, they have a course that I really love or believe in. They have a product that I really love or believe in, and they care about building a relationship with their customers, right? I even say that on my website. Like my marketing, no matter what channel it is, whether it's organic, whether it's, me on this interview with you, that's marketing. Okay. Maybe it's paid ads, whatever it is, the goal of that marketing needs to be to build a relationship with the customers. And I had this company, and at the time that was going to be really good for me. I mean, it's still not bad. They were going to pay me $20,000 a month. And they were like, all right, but basically we don't care about our customers. We just want to sell them this. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to work with you. Right. They just wanted to, I don't know what they wanted. And that's something I can't work with. Right. So building a relationship with your customers is going to create loyal lifetime fans. Like look at Nike. Who the heck pays the amount of money that they do for tennis shoes? Like I'll never do that. But, people are these raging fans because Nike's created a relationship, with all these people. And I find that fascinating. So I guess I like a little bit of psychology too. but yeah, it was learning last year that, okay, I need to not, I'm not going to run an agency where I have 200 clients and I'm making $1 million a month. Like, nope, that's no fun. I don't like it. I want to work very closely with a couple of clients, and you know, we're all gonna get paid good money. I mean, I'm making a lot more than I would at a 9 to 5, and I'm happy doing it. And that's, I think kind of the point. So
yeah, massively the point, man. Love it. Yeah, I mean, the fact is that everything works, right? You can run any type of business. You can do $1 million a month. You can have a $5 million a year business. You can have 200 clients and crush it and be massively into sales. Or you can kind of chill out and work with people that you love to work with and have a smaller business and a smaller team and get really, really human to human. All of that works, right? It really comes down to understanding what it works for you and not trying to do somebody else's dream or somebody else's version of it. Because as you said, putting you and how you like to work into that other space, it's disconnected. Like, I'm not aligned with this. It doesn't work for me. But that could very well work for a bunch of other people, and that's awesome because they're doing them and you're doing you.
Right.
So super, super important. Always comes back to getting aligned to, why do I want to run this business? And if you got that clarity on who I am, how I like to operate, why I'm doing this, it makes everything a lot easier. You get that alignment, which makes it more sustainable and, like you're saying, more enjoyable, which is why we do this in the first place, right? Business should be fun, should be enjoyable, as well as profitable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, completely.
Awesome, man. Really, really interesting conversation. Really enjoyed it. Again, we sort of skewed off somewhere super interesting and random, but it was a really, really, really important conversation. It's very, very aligned to what I believe in and what I hopefully try to instill in my clients and the people I speak to, is literally how you've got to test for yourself. You've got to have that self-awareness and determine, what am I going to like to do, and then double down and do more of that thing. So,
and
super valuable.
One quick point that I want to throw out there too is, when you're talking with people and having conversations like this, people get that realism. So this is not to you, but to everybody that is going to watch this. That is what attracts clients, right? I was having a conversation with somebody who I considered to be way, way above me, making millions of dollars a year. And he talked to me and he goes, dude, I want to hire you. And I was like, what? Just because, he goes, you've got a level of self-awareness that most people don't. I'm not patting myself on the back here, but I was like, wait, what? He goes, and you've got ideas that I don't. And I'm like, you're a multimillionaire. What are you talking about? But it's just the way we all think and the way we can all help each other. So just being, this is also going to sound super cliche, but being you and figuring out who you are, that's going to help you make money more than any course is ever going to do. So, and then obviously connecting with people, I mean, I'm huge on that. You're not going to make money if you don't actually go out and talk to people. But
yeah. Self-awareness and then taking massive action. Love it. Good foundational principles for anyone. As a super, super interesting, great chat, Joe. If people want to come and connect with you, find out more about what you do on the photography side, on the marketing side, where are the best places for people to come and get connected with you?
As you can see on the screen, pinepeakmedia.com, you can fill out a form to contact me. The other, probably the best place other than that, would be to search Pine Peak Media on Facebook, and then just send a message to that page and I'll respond back to you. So
awesome. As always, I'll drop those links in the show notes so that people can pound those links and go get connected to Joe. Joe, thank you for this awesome random conversation. It's been super, super insightful. And as I said, you definitely do have a level of self-awareness that is going to serve you massively in the long run. And just having that ability to do what you got to do and work yourself out and work your stuff out over time. Very, very important skill set. Been a really insightful conversation. Lots and lots of takeaways. For the guys at home, guys and girls at home that are building agencies, maybe feeling a bit stuck, feeling a bit unaligned to what they're doing. It's never too late to build that self-awareness, change your track, and start to enjoy your business again. So,
yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate you, mate. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, everyone.